Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Scott Bill Hurst, a former councilman from Hopkins, Rhode Island. I actually have two questions, so I'll ask you I'll let you make the choice. One is a local parochial topic in Rhode Island that's going on now, or one of national significance versus education. So which one would you want to tackle?
Let's do the national significance because of the time element.
Okay. I've always been intrigued, what constitutional authority, because the Constitution says that anything that's not given to the federal government is reserved to the people in the states, what constitutional authority, thank you, I'm a little nervous, enables the federal government to have a federal Department of Education, because that's usually and historically a local and state issue?
None.
I agree. There's absolutely no authority for the federal government to be involved in education.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir, in the back. And incidentally, we're now just about hitting the 10 o'clock hour. With your permission, I think I'll keep you another 15 minutes. Okay? All right, yes, sir.
Hi there. Thank you very much for speaking tonight. It's been a pleasure to hear you. I just want to ask you a question about foreign policy. Now, my understanding of the position you take is, given that we've invaded certain countries, we've destroyed many of their civil institutions, disbanded the army, that it's now that we now should leave the country even if the process of restoring order isn't complete. I have to ask, how is that moral, how is that just, and how is that consistent with a love of liberty?
Well, I think it's an interesting question, and some libertarians take the position that we have a moral obligation to rebuild it. I don't take that position, because it seems to me like the victimization continues. If one generation destroyed a country and we finally decide to leave, and you say, well, we owe them so much and we must rebuild them, then we have to go to the next generation and tax them to go over there and rebuild it. So if you could tax or extract the funds from the individuals who did the destruction, if you can go to the Dick Cheneys and the rest of them and get their money and go over and do it, then I would do it.
Okay, yes, sir.
Hello. My question is about morals. When a person does drugs or prostitution or things like that, essentially all they're doing is hurting themselves, and they're willfully choosing to do them. So should they be legal or stay illegal?
Did you say drugs?
Drugs, prostitution, moral things of that nature.
All these so-called victimless crimes.
Yeah, victimless crimes.
The government has no authority to criminalize whatever you want to put in your body as long as you are a consenting adult and do it on your own. And the government has no authority to disrupt a voluntary union between two or more people merely because some gratuity or cash is exchanged between them. It's simply none of the government's business.
Okay, yes, sir.
A common ideology, modern ideology, is that war is good for the economy. And I think the argument is that, it keeps the motors of industry going. For instance, even if there's not a lot of consumer consumption, we're manufacturing things, and therefore we're generating profits and revenue. In the 19th century, Americans had the exact opposite idea, largely because they understood that the value of their savings and, in the aggregate, the value of the nation's capital infrastructure were destroyed during the War of 1812 and afterwards in the Civil War. Were we wrong then and right now, or are we just laboring under an illusion? And if so, how do we dispel that illusion?
No, I think Randolph Bourne had it right. He said war was the health of the state. He never said war was the health of the economy. So it doesn't work that way. But I think that's a prevailing myth, because I hear it even said over on the House floor, war could help the economy and this sort of thing, which is total nonsense. I mean, you don't get World War II, they get this from the fact they say, well, the Depression ended with World War II. Well, it really didn't. Unemployment might have ended because we took up a couple million people, send them overseas and get shot at and killed. but the Depression didn't end until after World War II. So yes, some people, a narrow group of people, the war profiteers, they may make some money, and maybe some high-paid union workers might make some money, but at the same sense, overall, a country can't be richer by putting money into a tank and having the tank blown up. The country can't be richer. But you know what? The GDP goes up. You know, and that's what happened. If we buy all this equipment and send it overseas, they say, oh yeah, we just built these 500 trucks, and they're all going to get blown up or worn out in a year. And they put that into the GDP, and then they wonder, oh, lately you've seen some of the numbers looking better? When I say government spending, it has nothing to do real with economic growth, but it is something that's very important that has to be refuted, that war is good for the economy. It's a disaster for the economy, it's a disaster for our liberties, and it's a disaster for life as well.
Great.
Thank you guys for being here. My name is Ryan. I'm from New York City, Socialist Congressman Anthony Weiner's district. And a lot of times you have a problem with people my age and people from New York especially, where liberty is not worth fighting for them, where it's not important for them, and freedom is actually not what's most important, and we need the government. What's the best way for people like me who are in college to make a substantial argument to change their mind or open their mind to thinking that liberty and freedom are more important than the government?
I guess that might be one of the most challenging questions we have, because didn't we see a statistic here just recently that that the mayor is being applauded for telling them they can't eat salt and everything that they even eat? And I mean, what's the matter with you people up there? You're well, I don't know. Evidently, you know, it's going to be tough. But once again, it's. It may come when the whole thing falls apart and people have to be on their own and assume responsibility for themselves, or it's going to be an educational thing where people have respect. But most of the time, somewhere along the way, they will have a desire for personal freedom. It may be, say, in personal sexual matters, or the drug thing. And then they'll say, oh yeah, that's we want freedom. But when it comes to an economic matter, oh no, we don't need freedom because we need the government to freely take money from them and give it to me, you know, that sort of thing. So if you can find one thing that they agree with you. See, this is why I like to talk to the progressive left who are anti-war, because they'll listen to us on the war issue and they'll listen to us on civil liberties, and a few of them now and then will at least give us respect, and I've met people in the audience, people will come up and say, you know, I used to be a liberal Democrat, but I listened to you, and I've come over, and now I listen to your economic matter. If you say you're part of that, you use that exactly same technique.
No,
because,
I was, and I changed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You,
Wow.
but you had some freedom views, and then you sort of grasped the whole thing and put the whole package together again. So you have good experience, and I think you'll know what to do.
Thank you.
Nice.
You know, you can ask your friends a couple of simple questions. Would you rather make personal lifestyle decisions for yourself, or would you rather the government made them for you? Would you rather have the freedom to do what you want in the privacy of your own home with whomever you wish to be, or would you rather the government were watching you? Can the same government that takes away your salt, take away your books, or anything else you choose to look at in the privacy of your home? The answers to these questions are obvious no matter what one's political ideology is, even in New York.